Hey guys, premiere the new CW show No Tomorrow, and I was definitely looking forward to this show. I really didn't know much of what it was going to be. The trailers didn't really do much for me, to be honest with you guys. I mean, it looked fun, but I didn't really know if it was going to be, how great it was going to be, or if it was even going to be that great. I was just hoping, for something good, and I have to say that this premiere really surprised me. I really did like this first episode overall. I had a lot of fun with it. I think they set up a very interesting show that is very different than anything the CW is doing, but I think just as good as, something that they should be doing. But let's get to the plot of No Tomorrow, which the plot of the show is relatively simple. We focus on this girl, Evie, played by Tori Anderson, and she is working at like a Best Buy of sorts, and basically ends up coming in contact with this guy, Xavier, well, Amazon, actually, not Best Buy, but she works with it, she ends up coming in contact with this guy, Xavier. She doesn't really know what's up with him, he seems very strange, and eventually finds out that he basically has made an apocalypse of the list of things to do, before he dies, because he has the mentality that the world is going to end in 8 months and 12 days, and basically, they decide to, he kind of gives her the idea to create her own bucket list while her and her friends actually try to discover if he's legit or not, and that basically is the plot of No Tomorrow overall. So I really do like the plot of the show. I thought the plot of the show was definitely a lot of fun, but let's get to the cast, because that's really what I do want to talk about. Now, even though the plot is very interesting, this is one of those shows where the cast really makes or break the show. And I have to say, the cast is great for this show. I really do love this cast overall. Let's talk about our lead here. Tori Anderson as Evie. I know I've seen her in something before. I know she's been in, I believe, either like Degrassi or something like that. I can't think of what, but I know I've seen her in some before. But she, I've definitely seen her in some before, and I was looking forward to seeing her performance overall. But she was really great in the show as this character of Evie. Evie is a very eccentric character. She's not really caught up with the time. She's very high-spirited. She looks at things in a very strange way, and she seems to be associated with very strange people. I mean, this is someone who uses the word holy smokes, or says the word, do my thing, when people don't really say that. And I found her character to be very interesting. She's very much she has a very can-do type attitude, but there's a lot more going on with her that we don't know yet, and I really did like her character overall. I thought she was pretty good, and I thought she alone was really great. However, we don't really get too much into her character. We definitely did get into her character a little bit. Like, we found out how she couldn't sing, and like there was this debauchery audition, basically, and not debauchery, but like there was this very bad audition that she kind of botched, and basically she didn't do very well in the school play, and basically she's kind of this fear of singing since then. But we mostly focus on Joshua Sassi's character, Xavier, which is great because he by far is the best thing about this show. I mean, I definitely was looking forward to seeing Joshua Sassi overall, and he's so great in this role. I mean, this is a character who's very mysterious. The second you meet him, you know there's something very strange going on with him. You don't really know what it is, but I really do like his character. He's kind of like a hipster, although he's not. This is someone that believes in not really giving a fuck because he knows the world is going to end. And the way that he goes by this list and kind of gets her to think about, maybe changing her life around and thinking about things differently. I mean, there are a lot of things we get into with his character that I'm very interested with. He definitely has a lot of charisma. I found him to be very funny, and I really did like his character overall. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. But you also are trying to wonder, is this guy really legit or not? I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous thing that, holy shit, the world's actually going to end. Is he actually legit? That's going to be a big part of this show. And we do get more into his character. I'll get into that with the writing, but their screenplay in the show, so much of the show is writing on their screenplay, and I mean, not writing on their screenplay, writing on their chemistry, and it's phenomenal. I mean, they really already seem to work very well together. I think they might have done a little bit too much with them this first episode, like maybe having them sleep together. Alright, I get that they're, trying to, live with no rules, but having them sleep together in the first episode, I think was a little too much, but overall, I definitely bought into their chemistry. I thought they worked very well together, and I really did love what they had to do on the show, and they alone are enough of a reason for me to recommend the show, because their characters in general are very interesting, and I really do love what they had to do here. And then the only other characters I can talk about, Jesse Rath as Timothy, who is Evie's boyfriend, who ends up proposing to her. She ends up saying, he has this very interesting thing where he talks very quietly to the point where they need subtitles on the screen. Haven't really seen a character like that before, and I thought it was kind of funny, and there was a this great scene, you know, where she lets him down and realizes that she's not ready. I mean, I felt bad for his character overall. That definitely is not the last we're going to see of him. I really did like his character. And then her two friends, Karima and then the other guy, Hank, I really did like both these characters overall. You know, Soraya Blue and Jonathan Langdon. I thought they both did a really great job. I thought they both were a lot of fun to watch. And I thought overall they're just very fun characters. We have kind of seen them before, but I thought overall they were a lot of fun to watch, and I thought overall the cast really does seem like they're doing a very good job so far. So the cast is really great in the show, but let's talk about the directing and the writing. The tone for the show is pretty spot on. This is a show that right now is very lighthearted and very fun, but it also is a show that I feel could get into darker territory if it wants to. I mean, there are hints that that's going to happen. Now, let me just say, this is not Crazy Ex-Girlfriend or Jane the Virgin. It's not. It doesn't have the wit and, you know, awareness of Jane the Virgin, and it doesn't have the depth and really just, dark humor of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It's somewhere in the middle, and honestly, that's fine. I don't want it to be trying to be like those shows. It's trying to be its own thing, and I really do appreciate it for doing that. This is a show that right now is trying to be fun, but does hint at getting into darker territory, and I'm going to talk about that. But the writing, I thought, was pretty spot on. I like the way we got into Evie's character, what we did with her. I just didn't feel they did enough with her. I felt like we definitely saw some of her character, but there was just a little bit more I was missing from her. But I haven't really seen a character quite like her before. I was expecting her to be kind of just like the Mary Sue of the show, but she's anything but. I mean, she's very eccentric, she's very strange, and she's just not your typical female lead. I think they did a good job with doing that. I mean, she's very weird, and we don't really know why. I'm looking forward to getting into more of that. But what I'm most interested in getting into is Xavier, because they talk about the list, and a big part of the show, obviously, is writing down your bucket list and things like that. And they did a very good job with portraying that part of the show, you know, talking about, you know, choices you're going to make and, you know, things you want to do before you die. Those are things that I think we think about, but we don't really have to focus on. And the fact that Evie does have to focus on this, even though she doesn't know if he's legit or not, I think was definitely interesting to get into. And especially some of the scenes we did here, like my favorite scene in this episode by far is the scene in the karaoke bar where he got her to sing and it conquered her fear. I thought that was just a really great scene and really did show how compelling the show can be. I mean, especially if the show is going to be something where they're going to cross things off their bucket list. There's a lot of things there for Xavier that he said not to talk about. First of all, that what's going on with him and his father. He said that he's not ready to do that. We don't know what's going on there. I thought that just very subtle thing, but very interesting overall. It was very minimal in this episode, but I thought they did a very good job with getting us into that. And now his brother Jesse has shown up, and he appears to be now an ex-convict. What was Xavier's life being afraid of the apocalypse? We don't really know. It appears that his life is kind of shitty, and I'm sure we're going to get more into that, but I do like the way that they're really going with that. But I do really want them to focus on Evie's character as well, because I think they did a good job of focusing on her, but it seems like we're very focused on Xavier, and I want us to focus equally on both of them. And maybe it's just a problem with this first episode, but I'm hoping as the show goes on, they'll be able to do that. My only flaw with this first episode, that I think we're moving a little too fast with this relationship. I mean, these two, they're already having sex, they're already kind of living without consequences, and I get it, obviously. Again, they're trying to live in the moment, and they're trying to cross things off their bucket list. But Evie doesn't completely buy into him yet. You know, she definitely sees that he saved her life towards the end of the episode. If they had sex then I would have understood it. Having sex so early in the episode, after her boyfriend proposed to her, that just didn't really go with the rest of the episode. And that's really a very small complaint, but that just didn't really make sense to me. In one scene, she's being proposed to her boyfriend, and she says, "I'll wait for you." In the next scene, these two are having sex, and I didn't really understand why that's happening. I get that obviously she was with him, and it was the heat of the moment, but it just felt very off. It felt like the show was moving a little too fast with that, and I'm hoping the show does slow down, because if the show slows down, it can be really good, especially if it gets into these two characters' lives, and they did a very good job with that. It's also funny. I was laughing quite a lot throughout this first episode. That was a lot of fun overall, and very witty, definitely. The humor that it has is very awkward humor, and it's not going to appeal to everyone, I definitely will say that, but it definitely is an awkward type of humor, and I really did like seeing that in the show, because CW does that very well. You know, they pick shows where they have eccentric characters, you know, like our Rebecca Bunch. These characters aren't nearly as, you know, nasty and volatile as Rebecca Bunch is, but they are weird and different, and I like seeing these quirky characters who we definitely are going to get more into. The cinematography in the show also, I think, is very well done. I really did like the way that the show was shot. I thought the music was really good. The editing, like I said, I do think the episode just, it moved at a very good pace. Like, I was into it the whole time. I just thought there was a little too much going on between the accident and the sex. I just felt it kind of put too much into this first episode, which is fine for me, but that tends to happen with pilots where, you know, they'll try to do something to get that selling point, you know, just to adhere to audiences, and I get that they did that, but I just felt there was a little too much put in this first episode. But overall, I'm definitely on board with the show. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where it goes, and overall, definitely the show did impress me at the end of the day. But of course, talk about is the fact of, is he really legit or not? I mean, we don't really know. The show kind of makes it seem like he is, but at the same time, like I said, given Xavier's past, we don't really know if he's just doing this because he wants to get close to Evie and that he sees something in her and he kind of wants to be with someone. Because we definitely get the sense that he doesn't really have anyone really in his life. I mean, at least I got the sense of that. The fact that he's living off the grid and kind of not really caring about jobs and things like that, that definitely makes me think that. Or does he legitimately feel the world is going to end? And is there anything about it that's going to end? I mean, Evie did bring up a good point that NASA didn't say anything. She hadn't heard anything about it. What makes him think the world is going to end? We don't really know. I definitely feel there's more to it than that. I will say that right off the bat. I think there's a lot more to it than just the world ending. I think there's a specific reason why he thinks that, and I think his brother, Jesse, is definitely tied to that. And I'm looking forward to seeing Jesse and his relationship overall, because Jesse clearly did bail out of jail. I mean, this definitely wasn't something where he was released. I mean, the cops are there. Obviously, this can't go well. I don't know if Jesse's going to leave the next episode, but we'll have to see the way that's going to go. I think that overall is going to be very interesting. And then with Evie, I think the big question with her is, where does she really want to go? I mean, clearly she left Timothy, and she said she wasn't ready for marriage, so is she really ready to go with, you know, Xavier? How far is she really willing to go is my question, because, you know, she said she wants to complete everything off his list and really go along with him, but is she really ready to make that move? Is she really ready to give up her entire life like he has? I mean, I don't really think she realizes that he's given up his entire life to, you know, adhere to this list and to go on these adventures, and we don't really know if she's ready to do that. And yeah, like I said, the show is fun right now, but I do feel it's going to get very deep into that, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I mean, the show is marketed as a dramedy, and there's a lot of comedy in this episode. There wasn't a ton of drama, and I think we're definitely setting the pieces up for that. I mean, definitely a big part of the show is going to be questioning her reality and really thinking, you know, is this actually what I want to do? Is he legit? Do I really want to go with him? I think that's going to be very interesting overall, and what the show has to say with that, that's really going, that is enough of a hook to really keep me on board with the show. And overall, that's one of the reasons why I was very impressed with that, why I was as impressed with the show as I was, because while the show was fun, it set up a lot of things that definitely could make it more dramatic as the show goes on. But that's really all I have to say about No Tomorrow. You know, pretty simple episode, not really a ton to say about it. I mean, yes, I had things to say, but unlike Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which that pilot gave us so much to know about the character Rebecca Bunch, this one kept things relatively simple. It definitely gave us, like I said, clues to things that are going to get deeper, but it didn't really get into those things as much, except for a few, you know, key things, like, you know, how Evie can't sing, but, well, you know, Evie couldn't sing in front of a public, and now she can, but we'll have to see where that's really going to go. Either way, guys, I know you guys saw this first episode, so loved your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next, which will be for Luke Cage, which hopefully I will be able to finish by this weekend. I'm really hoping to do that because I'm cruising through it, but we'll have to see, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.